What if Earth already had a twin, and we just never noticed it? Not in another galaxy. Not 1,400 light years away. Right here, in our own solar system. A second Earth. Same oceans. Same gravity. Same sky. Orbiting the same sun. Sounds impossible. But here's the strange part. Scientists already know that planets can share orbits. And some moons in our solar system are already doing it right now. So the real question isn't, could this happen? It's, what happens if it already did? In 2015, NASA's Kepler telescope discovered a planet called Kepler 452b. People instantly nicknamed it Earth 2.0. It sits in the perfect habitable zone around its star. Not too hot, not too cold, potentially rocky, potentially alive. But that planet is over 1,400 light years away. Now imagine something much more terrifying. Another Earth, close enough to see in the night sky. At first, it sounds incredible. Two worlds, two civilizations, two versions of humanity evolving side by side. But what happens when two planets with the same mass begin pulling on each other with gravity? And this is where it gets weird. If a second Earth existed between us and Mars, both planets could technically survive together for billions of years, but not peacefully forever. Eventually, gravity would make a decision. One Earth survives, the other gets destroyed. Maybe they collide head-on. Maybe one gets thrown into deep space. Or worse, pushed directly into the sun. And nobody would see it coming until it was too late. But that's not even the craziest part. Because scientists think there's another possibility far stranger than collision. A cosmic dance where both Earths endlessly chase each other through space. Trading places. Swapping positions. Like two predators circling the same territory. And if that happened, humanity wouldn't just discover another world. We'd discover another version of ourselves. And that's when everything changes. To understand how two Earths could survive together, you need to look at Saturn. Not the planet itself. Its moons. Two tiny moons called Janus and Epimetheus are doing something that sounds physically impossible. They share nearly the exact same orbit. Every 4 years, one moon catches up to the other. Gravity pulls on both objects. One speeds up, one slows down, then they switch places. Again and again. Forever. No collision. No explosion. Just a perfectly balanced cosmic exchange. Now scale that up to two Earth-sized planets. That's where the nightmare begins. Because unlike tiny moons, Earths would carry oceans, atmospheres, weather systems, and billions of intelligent beings. Imagine looking through a telescope and seeing another Earth growing larger every year. Its continents becoming visible. Its cities glowing at night. Its satellites moving across the atmosphere. At first, the world would celebrate. Religions would erupt with new theories. Governments would panic behind closed doors. Scientists would race to understand whether the other Earth was human. But here's the strange part. The closer the planets get, the harder it becomes to ignore one horrifying possibility. What if they evolved exactly like us? Think about it. Same planet size. Same gravity. Same sunlight. Same chemistry. Would evolution repeat itself? Would another version of humanity exist over there right now? Asking the exact same questions? And that's where things spiral out of control. Because if both civilizations develop technology at similar speeds, contact becomes inevitable. First, radio signals, then images, then language, then the realization that the people on the other Earth might not just resemble us. They might be us. Same faces, same history, same wars, same inventions. Like humanity split into two timelines without realizing it. But what happens if one Earth advanced faster? What if they solved diseases before we did? What if they mastered energy, AI, or space travel centuries ahead of us? Suddenly, the second Earth stops feeling exciting. It starts feeling dangerous. Because humanity has never reacted calmly to discovering something more powerful than itself. And what happens next changes everything. The moment communication begins, the entire planet changes overnight. Every screen on Earth becomes focused on one thing. The other world. At first, the messages are simple. Mathematics. Symbols, patterns, proof of intelligence. Then language emerges. And suddenly, billions of people realize they are not alone anymore. But here's where it gets unsettling. The other Earth might know us better than we know ourselves. If their civilization evolved similarly, they may have predicted our behavior centuries ago. Every war, every technological breakthrough, every political cycle, Imagine hearing them describe events from our history before we even explain them. That's when fear begins replacing curiosity, because the similarities would become impossible to ignore. Same architecture, same biology, same emotions, almost like both civilizations came from the same original source. And that raises a terrifying question nobody wants to ask. Which Earth came first? What if one civilization is the original and the other is the copy? And this is where it gets weird. Governments wouldn't just compete for communication. They'd compete for control. Who gets access to alien technology first? Who controls trade between worlds? Who speaks for humanity? Within months, alliances would collapse. Economies would destabilize. Militaries would prepare for threats nobody understands. Because even if the other Earth arrived peacefully, fear alone could trigger conflict. History proves that humans fear mirrors almost as much as monsters. But then comes the mid-video twist nobody expected. The second Earth may not be a threat at all. We might be the danger. Imagine discovering that their civilization avoided wars we couldn't stop. They protected their planet instead of destroying it. They solved climate collapse, poverty, energy shortages. They became the version of humanity we were supposed to become. Suddenly, the comparison becomes unbearable. People on our Earth would begin questioning everything. Our governments, our systems, even our identity. And that's when society fractures. Some people would want unity between worlds. Others would demand isolation. And some would believe only one Earth deserves to survive. But that's not even the craziest part. Because gravity is still pulling both planets closer together. And eventually, physics stops caring about politics. As the two Earths drift closer, the skies begin changing. Tides become violent. Earthquakes increase. Storm systems grow larger than entire countries. At night, the second Earth dominates the horizon like a giant blue moon. Beautiful, terrifying, impossible to ignore. Children grow up watching another civilization in the sky every evening. Entire religions begin worshiping the twin planet. Others declare it the beginning of the apocalypse. But here's the strange part. Scientists realize the real danger isn't invasion. It's gravity. Even if both worlds want peace, orbital mechanics are slowly trapping them in a countdown nobody can stop. One wrong gravitational interaction could destabilize both planets forever. And that's when panic explodes globally. Some people attempt to leave Earth entirely. Billionaires fund massive space colonies. Nations weaponize satellites. Every major government secretly prepares for extinction-level scenarios. Meanwhile, communication with the other Earth becomes more emotional, more desperate, because both civilizations now understand the same horrifying truth. Only one planet may survive long-term. And this is where things get darker. What if the other Earth proposes something impossible? A merger. Not politically, biologically. Imagine scientists discovering that humans from both planets are genetically compatible, nearly identical, like separated branches of the same species. Suddenly, the line between them and us disappears. Families form across worlds. Cultures blend. Shared technologies accelerate human progress by centuries within decades. For one brief moment, humanity enters its greatest golden age. Disease vanishes. Energy becomes limitless. Space travel advances faster than anyone imagined. But then the final calculations arrive. The orbit is collapsing faster than expected. Collision is no longer a distant possibility. It's inevitable. And that's when the impossible decision appears. Do both Earths gamble on survival together? Or does one civilization sacrifice itself to save the other? No war in human history could prepare humanity for a choice like that. Because for the first time ever, humanity wouldn't be fighting aliens. We'd be fighting ourselves. In the final years before impact, both Earths become obsessed with one goal: survival. Massive engines are built in orbit. Experimental technologies are rushed into existence. Entire oceans of resources are burned trying to alter planetary motion by even the smallest fraction. But physics doesn't negotiate. The twin Earth grows larger every month. Closer, brighter, until one day, it fills half the sky. And that's when things change forever. Because as both worlds prepare for the end, one final transmission arrives from the other Earth. Not a threat, not a warning, a question. What if this has happened before? Suddenly, scientists begin uncovering impossible evidence buried deep beneath Earth's oceans and ice sheets. Ancient isotopes, unexplained extinction cycles, fragments of technology older than human civilization itself, evidence suggesting that another Earth may have existed millions of years ago and vanished. Maybe twin planets aren't rare. Maybe they're unstable by nature. Maybe civilizations always discover each other right before destruction. And maybe humanity is simply repeating a cycle older than our species. But here's the craziest part. If one Earth survives, its people would inherit everything. Two civilizations, two histories, two versions of humanity merged into one future. The survivors would become the most advanced civilization in history, assuming anyone survives at all. In the final moments, the skies would ignite brighter than sunrise. Oceans would rise, continents would shake, and somewhere, across two collapsing worlds, billions of people would stare upward at the exact same thing. Themselves. Then silence. But maybe the most disturbing question was never whether two Earths could exist. Maybe the real question is this. If humanity ever met another version of itself, would we choose cooperation? Or would we prove that even in an infinite universe, there's only room for one Earth?